Good morning everyone, Jacques from Dapper Shaves. We're going to do a honing video and we're going to briefly talk about a couple of other interesting things. So, gear I'm using, this is a 1-inch plastic loop. It works quite well for my purposes to have a look at what's going on the bevel. So we're going to use that. I've got some gloves I'm going to put on shortly. I've got a Shapton lapping plate to create some slurry, and I have got a Nakayama Maruka Asagi, a Moira and a Koma. And the reason why I'm not going to use anything else is this stone for me essentially cuts like a Botan Tenju type. So I'm going to set the bevel on this, finish here. The razor is, if you would have seen by now, a Iwasaki. A customer's razor. I've had it for some time, waiting for the right opportunity to fix it. The scales are broken and I replaced that. And I replaced that with bone scales. And this is giraffe. The guy actually used the word camel, so I just need to confirm that, but it was essentially a very, very, very large bone, which I cut up, and you get chunks like this. And then you cut the chunks into bits and pieces. And then you would see here's a couple I've already flattened the one side, so you can start using them as stock. But this is essentially what it looks like. And this is really tough, hard work. If you ever thought of doing this, think twice or give me a call. In any case, so that said, there's the razor. We're gonna have a look at that quite shortly. Also the scales, and then get honing. It's a Iwasaki 80. I don't know the Iwasaki range razors very well. I know some of the man and his skills and his ability. This is a quarter hollow. And even though it does not say Tamahagani, I've got a sneaky suspicion it actually might be. So those of you that's knowledgeable, please leave a comment down in the link below if you know, so you can also educate me on my shortcomings. So let's quickly have a look at the scales. I put in brass internal washers like I always do on the razors, and we've got a piece of horn in here. This horn wedge is made from scales coming off 1850s Wade & Butcher. The scales were broken on that, and I used that horn to make wedges to create a little contrast. It's a quarter hollow. And then, as I said, I've got a sneaky suspicion it's Tamahagani because it's got this little liner running through there, and then it disappears. And I'm not sure if that's a forged line, and that is repeated this side. So I don't know. You would see this razor, the person that owned it, typically most likely did one hand with a lot of sweeping motions and pressure down towards the toe, and you will see that in the wear. Down the heel there's very little, and then it becomes a lot more towards the toe, and hence these flat areas and surfaces. So I've had a look at this razor under the scope, and I quickly need to grab some water. 1 second. I started this video without all my gear. So I'm quickly want to hydrate the stone. It likes, just taking up a bit of water for some time. Soaking them for 5 minutes, it's actually the best thing to do. I haven't, but the stone gets hydrated quite quickly and works well. They're still in focus. Yeah, there we go. Right. So, while that's hydrating. So this razor required a bit of restoration, which we've done. There we go. This is how it sits in the razor. And I think the customer is really going to like it. Okay, so that's Iwasaki. I want to, you can see already where it's dried up. It's also quite windy outside here, so it's helping with evaporation. But we're going to keep that wet, and we're going to give this a quick slurry. Don't really need a lot. As I said, I've inspected the edge. So this for me is underdefined, so we're going to spend a bit more time here. There's quite a bevel, but in the cleaning process there's some scratches on there, and about right there's a little chip as well. So we're going to sort that out. So I'm starting. This is a wedge, so they can take a significant amount of edge biased pressure when you hone, because it's not going to flex. And so in that regard, I'm starting at the heel, because I want to refine the bevel area, the underdefined bevel area a bit more. And I really didn't create a lot of slurry here. So let me first of all correct that. I think that's going to work a lot better. So edge biased pressure. And I want to work the heel area first, making sure that I don't come onto the shoulder, and then slowly I start touching and refining the areas towards the toe. So that's how I'm currently approaching this. And Japanese steel, specifically mahogany, is quite hard. The way they forge it, temper it. This stone cuts very quick, but I don't see a lot of swarf in the slurry, which tells me this is, I think, a hard temper. And so I'll just have to take my time with this. Simple as that. Once the bevel's set and we've got everything else out the way, finishing the edge is not going to take that long. I'll repeat it again. Once the bevel is set, getting this to razor sharp is not going to take long. So when it comes to razor honing, 90% of the work is setting the bevel. If you take your time, you set the bevel correctly, back off your pressures, make sure you get rid of the previous stone striations, you are going to get killer edges. If you skimp on the foundation work, you are always going to have razor edges that's going to be wanting. After a couple of shaves, it wants to go back to the stones. So keep that in mind. Really take your time with the bevels. I like natural stones because natural stone scratch patterns is a whole lot shallower, a whole lot smoother, and a whole lot easier to remove than synthetics. At least for me, that's my observation, and that's why I use them. And so in that regard, you require a whole lot less stones to get the work done. And you haven't got a lot of work. So when you get to the polishing stages, that's what I want to try and convey in this message. Yeah, this is not producing a lot of swarf, which is a good thing. One don't want to be overly aggressive with these things. Pressure edge bias currently, I don't know, is around 400, maybe even 500 grams. It could even be higher. And as I say, I really want to force the stone onto the edge, onto the steel. And then when we've got the bevel set, we'll polish. We've got some birds here that's upset about something in the background. Not sure if you can hear it, maybe a cat or some children walking close by. So you'll know me, what I always recommend, once you've done a bit of work, stop, inspect what you're doing, making sure you're removing the steel where you think and believe you're taking it from. I've already nicked my glove. So let's have a look here. I really like the way the stone scratch patterns look like, what it does to the steel. And we have still got a small residue left of the chip. I will also see if I can take some video shots a bit later. If you look, the bevel is quite wide on that. The bevel is quite wide on that, and then if I look at that bevel under the microscope, it looks like it's got fine little pores in the steel, and that's not from rust or oxidation. I've got a sneaky suspicion that's how the steel structure looks like. But you guys, if you know better, can comment. The owner of this razor, I think, will also have a bit more insight. He's a lot more inclined on the Japanese stuff than I am. So once again, I want to thank everybody that is joining me on this video. All of you that's subscribed lately. Moreover, those of you that has been subscribed for a long time and keep continuing supporting this channel and enjoying the content, really appreciate it. And all the new viewers. So if you've got questions, I really encourage you to leave them below, ask your questions so I can answer them. This channel again is an educational channel. And we do owning videos, we talk technical stuff, I do shave videos, with technical aspects to it. And we do ASMR videos, just quiet shave videos. So all educational, no other stuff on this channel. So if I say that, you're not going to see compare this razor to this razor and so forth, or this is such a fantastic soap and so forth. I use what I find locally available. We're very fortunate to have Master Soap Creations here that creates wonderful international quality type of soaps, and you'll see that's the one I recommend. And I recommend that because it's available for the folk overseas, and I essentially cater for, or not cater for, speak around stuff I can find myself here in South Africa. So that's Master Soap Creations. I've tried many other soaps, and there really isn't anything that gets close to it in South Africa, and internationally I think there's only a few soaps that can really keep up with MSC soaps. I think we are very close to having this this bevel set, and you'll see I'm running a nice thick slurry. The stone performs best when you've got the mix in this paste-like form. You see what I mean by a paste-like. And so I think we are essentially done here. I want to just check that the chip again, and then we're going to be finishing. I'm definitely going to be shaving this razor still today when I'm done here. So that would be the next video coming up, shaving with this, to ensure it is the way I want it. And then I think the owner is going to be very happy. I started talking about people supporting and subscribing to this channel. So once again, my biggest supporter here, Lazarus, this is your razor. I'm not sure if you can remember it still with me, but nearly done with that chip. And then yeah, you're going to enjoy this razor, I'm quite sure. So thank you for supporting this channel in the way you do. I know you're not a guy that really likes to be mentioned the whole time. But I need to shout out to you because you've been wonderful to this channel. So these this Mikawa Nagura, this bench stone I'm honing on, I don't think if I mentioned that right at the beginning, also yours, and I think you're really going to enjoy this stone. For knives, for razors, for polishing, I've really enjoyed using this stone. It's very clean, it is very homogeneous, and a fantastic stone. Even with this bit here, it looks like it's sprayed on, and it's very symmetric. It's beautiful. Love the stone, and really a classy workhorse. Somebody asked me, Jacques, what natural stone should I get to continue my honing journey going forward? And I essentially told the gentleman, any cortical or natural type stone that can give you that cutting performance without leaving deep scratches. And this is such a stone. And then you need a finisher, and I always recommend a black Arkansas from Dan's. Those are fantastic stones, and they finish brilliantly, and that's what you need. But what I want to get at is, same with this stone. These stones cut quick, they get the job done, and they leave a very fine polish, even though it is not a finisher. And that makes a massive difference in edge quality and feel. And this is really a very hard steel or hard temper. So I think once this is shave ready, then this razor is going to be a phenomenal shaver, and moreover it is going to hold an edge very, very long. That's what I mean by a paste. And you can actually also use this for polishing, guys, if you didn't know. I sometimes do that, specifically if there's difficult areas to get into, and I've used that quite successfully. So I am going to quickly do a spot check. I'm quite sure that chip is gone, and I've backed slightly off the pressure because I want to cut less and start polishing a bit more. And let's see what this looks like. Yep, gone. So what I want to do is quickly rinse this under water. One moment. So I want to just give this one or two very light cleanup strokes. And then we're going to start setting the bevel. We're 22 minutes in, is what it is. I'm definitely not going to rush it. Pressure currently, call it 150 grams. And then we are done here with bevel set. Once again, for me, bevel set. Jacques, what does a bevel look like? How does it perform once it's set? Well, it's very easy. It is going to take arm hairs on contact effortlessly across the entire width of the blade. So here we go. Okay, let's find some hairs where you guys can see. And there we go. Just taking them off effortlessly. There you can see how they're flying off in the wind. Clean little spot open there. So bevel is set. That's how I know. Here also you want to feel how smooth it is. If you've got a very synthetic edge, if you've put it on your skin, it might feel toothy. I'm not saying that is the case. But up next, I quickly want to rinse razor and stones, and then we're going to do final finishing. Okay. Somehow it seems like the highlights in this, no, not really. In the camera setting seems a bit high. So other question I also get a lot is, Jock, what does your setup equipment looks like? So me, I use my iPhone, my cell phone, because it's something I have and always use. And I've got a kettlebell, a gym weight with a handle, with a manipulation arm mounted to the handle here. And then a cheap little Chinese bracket here that keeps my cell phone. I'll show you guys some shots when we're done. And that's my setup. And then I process on my iPad. I've also got a Mac that is sometimes a bit easier. But essentially all I do is I use this video footage and I add some text and titles to it and I upload it to YouTube. That's it. Nothing else. No fancy tools. Use what I've got. And yeah, that's it. Mohiro, you'll see this stone has got a little a flake that broke out, and somewhere else here's another small little one. Mohiro, or specifically this one, is a very soft stone, and so if you rub it on hard stones, especially with a bit of pressure, sometimes it can flake out like that. And if that is an irritation to you, then what I found works very, very well, especially with the softer stones, is to soak them in water. So get yourself a little saucer that's, I don't know, a 1/4 inch deep, fill it with water, and then you just put the stone in so that this bit of the stone is submerged for 15 minutes before you start, and then that problem will go away. In fact, many folk soak their naguras. I don't. I'll just back off the pressure and just, spend time making the slurry. And the other downside is if you do soak them, these stones can actually absorb some water. So when you soak them, ensure you leave them outside so that they have got the opportunity to dry out again. Yeah, that's it. The other thing is, a lot of folk don't like a nagura with these spots in, because the story goes that these spots have got larger or toxic particles in, and it damages the edge. On Ken Asano or Sakamoto stamped and graded stones, you will never find that problem. In fact, these blue little spots, blue and black spots in this stone, and you'll see I have used quite a significant part of this already, is the exceptional coma finisher. So don't get fooled by all kinds of stories you hear by people. Get your own experience and move on. So yeah, I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I've backed off pressure now to, I don't know, about 50 grams, and we're just going to work the slurry a whole lot finer. I'm already getting a lot of vacuum between the wide blade edge bevel, the slurry and the flat stone face, and I'll just keep working that. Very wide edge bevels will, even if they are not well formed, will quickly start giving you vacuum sensation, because it's a wider, larger area that's in contact with the stone. Don't get fooled by that. Learn from that. And also, if you've got a spine that has got a wide, significant area where there's hone wear, a flat area, that will cause exactly the same sensation. So don't fall for that. As an example on this one, it is slightly wider towards the the toe than the heel, and so then the feedback, there's subtle little differences in that feedback. So this is really feeling good. And now I've backed off essentially all of the pressure. This razor, if I hold it like this upside down, is quite balanced because the bone scales are heavier. So if you work with scales that's significantly heavier than you used to, ensure that you get a balanced feel for this. Otherwise, you might be honing too much on the toe because it's slightly dipping, or because it's heavy, you compromising and lifting it and doing the reverse. It is small little details in keeping the blade flat and keeping the pressure consistent that will allow you to create killer edges. So I'm done with this, and what I'm going to do is just clean off the razor. And we are going to clean off the stone, and then we're going to hit the coma on this, and then we are good to go for a shave. We'll do a little tree topping when we're done here, just to demonstrate that. I've said this numerous times and I'll keep repeating it. That's just the indicator. The only way you're going to know if you've done it properly is in a shave. Hanging hair tests, tree topping, as I say, is just the indicator. The other thing with very hard naguras is you have to spend your time creating the slurry. Increasing pressure, you'll start scratching the base stone, which you don't want. And so folk also are not fond of hard naguras. Me, I like them, especially if you've got a quality one. Just take some time, get a slurry, and trust me, it will blow your mind. So, there we go. We've got a nice coma slurry on this. We are going to work this until it is, I don't know, fully depleted, fully worked out. So the slurry, the particles in the slurry for J-Nats will break down as you hone it. So it will become finer and finer as you work it. So this coma, I don't know, maybe if you have to try and give it a classification for grit level, I don't know, it's most likely 6 to 8K, maybe even a bit more. So as I work this, it becomes finer, it becomes 9K, 10K, 12K, and so forth as you go along. So remember that. So I'm going to work the slurry. It will reduce. Some of the liquid will come off the stone, and the slurry will slightly become also a little bit more concentrated as we move on. And then right before it becomes too thick to manage, this is actually quite nice. If it sits like that on the blade face and just drips off, that for me is a good finishing type thickness of a slurry. And then what I'll do is, as it gets thicker now here, I'm going to maybe just add in a squirt of water to even dilute it further, so that it cuts even finer. And then pressure is essentially non-existent in what I'm doing here. So clean the blade face, remove some slurry, add a bit of water in there, and try to get this as thin as possible. And now it's all feel. And this razor is sticking all over the place. That's why I've switched to 2 hands. and I'm going to now pick up and finish in hand. So with a heavier handle, I need to just make sure I hit everywhere at the same pace. Beautifully undercutting, and I'm really happy with this. So I'm just going to dump most of that off. I'm going to add a few drops of water, and then these are short little cleanup strokes. Very light, and I actually move it until it creates that vacuum stick, and then I stop. And there we go. We are finished. So I'm going to just clean off this blade face. I want to rinse this glove because I want a strap on it. And then we are going to do a tree topping, and then we're done, folks. So I really appreciate once again everybody supporting this channel, finding the content useful. Hopefully the next video that you will see is of a translucent Arkansas. Yes, it's arrived. I've seen the stone in video. Toots has got it. He's enjoying it over the weekend, and then when he's done using the stone, then he'll send it here. So with specifically on strapping on TRC Sard razors, that's got a very hard temper. This razor as an example, that has got a very hard temper. A Kurat that's got a very hard temper of, and I talk about hard, I'm talking about 63 to 65 Rockwell guys. Those razors require significant more stropping on leather and canvas than you would any of the other steels. So that's that. So we've got some hairs up there. We're going to take this razor and it just pops them off. You're not going to hear it because this is a wedge, but you'll see there is the hair sitting without any issue. This thing is really just popping them off like crazy, silently, which is a very good indication. So the stone, the Iwasaki, if you can confirm if this is mahogany, I would really appreciate it. Once again, the equipment we used for this, the Mikawa Nagura, the Koma, Asano Koma, the Mohiro, a lapping plate, and ice. Thank you very much. See you guys on the next video.